It's 11:41 on a grey Yorkshire morning. Chandwell's market tower looms 30 metres above the market precinct, where the local kids skate amongst the litter around the planter. In modern day 1993, the market and its precinct are starting to feel a little worn around the edges. The indoor market continues to thrive, but elsewhere, dirt and closures abound. It must have felt very different in the early 1960s. The Chandfield Viaduct was demolished to make way for this bold statement of future prosperity. The buttress of the bridge at the bottom of Back Market Street reminds us of the once busy line to the Chandwell goods yards and Upper Chanderdale. A local train rattles over R.J. Turner's workshop on its way to Huddersfield. Goat Beck emerges from its subterranean passage beneath the market, bubbling under Works Passage and continuing down the side of Water Lane. Full of rubbish and graffiti these days, this is where Liam Thistles was finally detained after 4 days on the run in 1991. Water Lane runs behind the buildings of High Street, past the fence of the Chandwell Waterboard building and round the corner to the Old Town Hall. This beautiful building was formally opened in 1857, but was never actually owned by the town. After a period as a police station in the 1960s, the building stood vacant until the late 1980s. During its whole life, Chandwell's civic pride has kept the town hall's clock telling the right time. The building is now home of premier nighttime venue Club Passion, an architectural practice, and the discount bed shop Ben's Beds. Next door to the town hall is car parts supplier Revs. Revs occupies the beautiful old Wesleyan Assembly Hall, which was built in 1903 on ground left vacant after the coming of the railway viaduct many years previously. Parts of its beautiful Art Nouveau windows can still be seen, although some have been covered by pictures of Chandwell rally hero Johnny McShea. Further up High Street, under the Skew Bridge, we come to the shops in the market building. Over the road we see Market Street and the grand Victorian buildings of High Street as they curve away up the hill. The lower reaches of Chanderdale are visible over in the distance. The late-running 11:28 intercity service to Exhaven Harbour pulls out of the station as we finish our trip. Walking back down the street, we pass Fashion Focus and Lasbrooks, and finally we can call into the Earl Chandfield for a well-deserved pint of Foxton's Best. Welcome to Chandwell. My name's Michael and I'm building this N-gauge layout set in a dreary town in 1993. After working on it all year, this part of the layout is finally finished. In this video, I'll show some of the finishing touches I added to add the last bits of detail to this scene. Join me then for Finishing Touches, completing a model scene. When we last left Chandwell, I had pulled up the Chainlink fence as I wasn't happy with it. This time, I stuck a guide to a bit of card and then stuck the fence posts to that with tiny blobs of PVA. This helped me get the post spacing exactly right. I used another copy of the guide as a ruler to help me cut the fence fabric to the correct size, and then another copy to act as support whilst the glue set on the fabric. I ensured no glue got on the support, otherwise the whole thing would become a sticky mess. A final copy of the same guide was stuck to the baseboard to help me get the holes in the right place. It was then a case of peeling the completed fence off the card and gluing it into the holes. As for the cranks, you'll see they are still facing inwards. After I suggested in my last video that I would make them point outwards, I received a lot of comments that confirmed that I'd got them the right way around the first time. Thank you to everyone who kept me right, and to the 2 viewers who went out and checked local examples of fences. So they point inwards, which I am now happy is the correct way for a fence like this in a place like this. You may remember this little building too. I was really happy with it, but it was too big. It was a really simple job in Inkscape to redraw it and make it a bit smaller. All of the same textures and graffiti are here, just in a different arrangement that fits better. Side by side, it's not a huge difference, but where the original overfilled the space, the new one looks much better. I offered the original to a viewer on a first come, first served basis. Just 17 minutes after the video was published, Ian from the Cotswolds sent me an email. The building now occupies a little part of his own Engage layout, Cerney Vale. Chandwell's resident hermit graffiti artist, Stanley, may have gone on a nice Cotswolds holiday at some point. It really does look like it was made for location, Ian, and your layout is the only other place to contain a Chandwell original. I hope that you like it, and I hope that it stays part of your layout. Like most ground in Chandwell, the Precinct, it's not flat. It descends from High Street to Bridge Lane, so construction of the planter was a bit challenging. I printed out a few shapes based on a planter I'd seen in pictures from a precinct in Bristol. This made a 3-piece stack of 1mm card which would hopefully match the slope of the precinct. I roughly painted it with watercolours and then wrapped it in Scale Scene's brown brick texture paper. With a bit of half-dead foliage, some tiny bits of paper to represent rubbish, and a couple of skaters sitting on the bench, it looks passable. Any forlorn precinct, like Chandwell's, needs the presence of some skateboarders. Viewer Ian, a different Ian, was inspired to send me a group, and don't they look fantastic? These tiny figures were kit bashed from some PD Marsh white metal figures. Ian added a Pico figure's arm, and used the tiniest pieces of plasticard and plastic rod to make the skateboards. He then painted them to represent the baggy clothes of Manchester and the rave scene of the early 1990s. Thank you very much indeed, Ian. I think these skateboarders add just the right touch of time and place to Market Precinct. You may have spotted the litter in the river. The tarpaulin is just a bit of painted toilet paper. The tyres are from scale model scenery. I printed the roadworks sign myself. Every urban stream needs a shopping trolley. I had never seen an acceptable N-scale trolley and had given it up as a lost cause. But then viewer Mark emailed me to say that he was up for designing and 3D printing a trolley. I was sceptical. It was surely impossible. But a week or two later, this box arrived in the post, and in it were several of the tiniest shopping trolleys I've ever seen. Looking at it on a ruler is one thing, but sitting it on a pound coin in front of a Lego minifigure really does show off this thing's size. The handle needed to be Follies Foods blue, and a couple of trolleys could be stationed outside of Follies. But one just had to take pride of place in the stream, as if it was made for it. Thank you, Mark. This is absolutely super. Mark isn't a railway modeller, but he does make super detailing and kit enhancements, which you can see on his website, scalemodelparts.co.uk. Did you notice that the little stream is called Goat Beck? I got 37 entries to my competition to name the stream. I put my 9 favourites, those which really could be the name of a Yorkshire stream, into Wheel of Names, and let fate decide. So thank you to Tiny Workshop Big Ideas for your suggestion and your little role in defining some of the lore of Chandwell. So it's on to Station Road now. What will fill these 2 gaping holes? Watch out for the new series which will follow me designing and constructing the next major part of Chandwell. What adventures, characters and events await? And will we hear from Brittany Scroggins or Silas Bickerdike now that High Street and Water Lane are complete? Only time will tell on that. Here's a look at my last major series build, the start of the Royal Scot. Until next time then, thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you then.